Hey beautiful souls, welcome back to the channel. Today I would like to share with you how I reclaimed my power and healed from a narcissistic relationship and how you can too. So please excuse my throat. I just wanted to get this video out to you, but I do have a bit of a scratchy throat. So after my 23-year relationship finally fell apart, I felt absolutely shattered. Like my identity, my confidence, my love, my trust, my life, my reality had been hijacked. But you know what? I didn't just survive. I reclaimed my power. And I healed. So in this video, I'll share with you how I did that and how you can too. So for anyone new here, welcome. My name is Annemarie. I help women reclaim their power and heal from narcissistic relationships, though anyone genuinely needing support in this area is more than welcome on this channel. So the first thing was I had to start understanding the power play, the power dynamic. Narcissistic relationships thrive on control, and when you're especially when you're dealing with a covert narcissist, it's very confusing. You're the proverbial frog in the boiling pot. You're slowly conditioned to doubt your intuition, to dismiss your needs, to question your decisions and invalidate yourself by putting their emotions, their needs, their wants first, always. That's not love, right? That's manipulation. So when I realized this, something started to click. That he never, sorry, I'm just checking my sound, that he never had power over me. He only had power over the parts of me that didn't believe that I deserved better. That realization became the foundation of my healing. So the first way I reclaimed that power was to reclaim the power to make a basic choice. There comes a time when the tears start to dry and love and joy want to be expressed again. That's the time to use your courage and start making choices again. I know it's scary, but I know you can do it. I understand that when you're in the relationship, and even for quite some time after, it's really hard to make clear, rational decisions, let alone choices, because you've been constantly confused and on the hop, and you stop trusting yourself. So, and I get it. So the first simple but bold and profound choice I made, I chose myself. Sounds simple enough, right? But the commitment to that, especially when you're a people pleaser, was not an easy choice. Nonetheless, I made the choice, and every day I reminded myself, I am allowed to walk away from those who disrespect me, use me, or abuse me. I am allowed to walk away from anyone or anything that hurts me. I am allowed to rebuild, and I'm allowed to take care of my own needs. I am allowed to change my story. Healing begins with a choice, not to fix everything overnight, but to stop abandoning yourself. Okay, but if you're not there yet, please do not put that pressure on yourself. Look at some of the other points that you may be able to work with first, okay? Never ever put that pressure on yourself. So then the next thing I had to do was start taking back my own story and my own narrative. After the relationship, I didn't know myself for starters. I didn't know myself at all anymore. I kept replaying the same questions. Why did I let this happen? Why didn't I leave sooner? Right? But then I shifted those questions and reframed them to, what did this experience teach me about my strength? How can I turn this pain into power? And how can I use this pain to empower others? Instead of seeing myself as a victim of the story, I became the author. And even though I am an actual author, it was still a real stretch to shift my own limiting beliefs, from not being enough to I am valuable. Nonetheless, I did, and I know you can too. So another thing that was really important was reconnecting with my own body and intuition, because my nervous system was completely fried. I couldn't trust my intuition anymore, and I began solely running on instinct, emotion, fight or flight response. So I had to start really small. That's why you often hear me say baby steps, and I had to go back to basics. I started practicing deep, even breathing again, and increased my daily meditation and silent practice again. I started honouring my body again, since it was so run down, and I started getting regular massage again. I increased my daily practice of Qigong. I started dancing a little bit again. I started hula hooping again. I started to take walks in silence to reconnect with nature and with myself. So there's lots of different things we can do to help ourselves along and reconnect, to ground ourselves in our body and in this world. And over time, my body started to respond positively. And though I knew I had a long way to go, it was the best I had felt in a long time. So I began to listen more intently to my body. Another thing that was very important and I've talked about this many, many times, is about boundaries as self-respect. Boundaries were once scary for me. I thought setting boundaries meant being cold or selfish. Now I know that boundaries are a form of self-respect. I can say no without explaining myself. I can protect my energy unapologetically. And I no longer make room for people who feed on guilt, fear, obligation, or control. So boundaries don't push people away. They protect the parts of you that are finally healing. And another thing that was really important for me was to start reclaiming my joy. Because before this relationship, I've always been a pretty easygoing, happy-go-lucky, positive kind of person. Not all the time, I have my down days, but in general, I've been a pretty positive person. In the last few years of this relationship, it was just getting harder and harder, and I was becoming miserable, and I didn't like myself anymore, and I was reacting in ways I would never normally react. I was anxious, I was fearful, I was stressed out, because narcissistic relationships often drain all the colour from your life. So reclaiming power also means reclaiming joy. And that's such a beautiful feeling. I started doing things I loved again. As I said earlier, I started doing lots of things that I used to love, that I stopped doing. I started dancing again, I started painting, I started laughing with friends. I created playlists that reminded me of who I was before the pain. And I started dancing to those playlists. And joy became an act of rebellion. And it was such a beautiful way to start reclaiming my power, and to start reclaiming my peace, and to start reclaiming my energy. because that was so important. I felt like I just completely lost myself. So every time I laughed again, I reclaimed another piece of myself. And the last one, turning wounds into wisdom. So that's a really big one as well. My pain, it didn't disappear, but I transmuted it to give it some kind of meaning, right? Because if you're just going through the pain and there's no meaning to it, well, you're going to struggle twice as much. But for me, the meaning was to heal myself and to help others heal. So there became a purpose out of this. I stopped asking why, and I started asking what now? What can I do now to keep improving myself, to keep healing myself, to keep helping others? I realized I could use my experience, both personally and professionally, to help others, to speak up, to create, to support other survivors. Your healing becomes your power when you realize you are not what happened to you. You are who you choose to become. And so reclaiming your power after a narcissistic relationship isn't about pretending it never happened. It's about rising anyway. It's about choosing yourself every single day, no matter how weird or uncomfortable it may feel. So just remember that healing is possible, and that's all you need to know, that it's possible. If I can do it, I know you can too. Okay, so if this video helped, please like, share and subscribe and comment below. Just, comment. What's one way you've reclaimed your power? What part of this video spoke to you most? Okay, so remember to subscribe as well for more healing content, and it does spread the word and it does build the channel. So thank you once again for all your support and all your love, and I really do appreciate you coming and visiting me on the channel. And just remember that you are powerful, you are worthy, and you are home in yourself right now. So until next time, I hope you got some benefit, and as always, so much love from my heart to you. Talk to you soon.